And welcome back to B&E Productions. I'm Ethan, and here we are with another Airsoft review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Elite Force MP5SD AG. This is a airsoft gun based off a historic SMG, the HK MP5SD. You've probably seen this in tons of movies and video games. It's just been this iconic gun, and they made an airsoft version of it. And I originally had an MP5. This was my very first airsoft gun. This was a Galaxy MP5 I bought off of Amazon like 10 years ago, which is absolutely insane. But still kicking, still running around. This was my main gun that I used for a number of years. And then my collection slowly began to grow and grow. And from there, I saw this pretty affordable MP5SD and was like, you know what, I want to go for it, so I ordered it. Really, I wanted to use this for a movie gun, prop gun, that kind of stuff that me and Brandon do. I really wanted an MP5SD, that kind of silenced MP5. So went ahead and got it, and today we're going to be going through it. I'll be telling you my thoughts and opinions about it, some of the pros and the cons of getting it, and yeah. But before we get into the video, we got a quick ad from Chip It. If you don't want to watch it, just skip 30 seconds forward. Go check out Chip It, a one-tap networking solution that allows you to share your social media with ease. And they have profiles so that you can share multiple forms of social media all at once. And you can use the link in the description below to go to their website. You can order something, and you can use discount code Ethan for 10% off your order. And so now that we're back from that ad, pretty cool guys, pretty cool product. Go check it out. Use our discount code. But what you're really here for, Airsoft AG, the iconic MP5SD. So let's start running through some of the features here. We have like the mock suppressor here at the end. Get a nice bright orange tip. And I did cover it with electrical tape. That was for the purposes of filming. Because I'm not exactly sure how to take this off. I haven't really tried. I don't really play with this gun a whole lot, so I was kind of like, meh. I'll just leave it on there, put some electrical tape over for filming, and call it a day. But just so you know, it is this thick, and it goes all the way around. Super bright orange. I wish they would have went with a more reduced orange tip, but you know, I guess, you know, they're covering themselves, want to make sure that they're all good there when they ship it with the orange tip. So there is that. It is a mock suppressor. There's nothing in here. It just covers the inner barrel. So you got a nice bit of inner barrel, actually, which is kind of cool. I have seen some people do some mods where they'll take a tracer unit and they'll shove it down in here. I don't have any experience with that, so... And I've never done it. I've never opened this side of the gun up, so I wouldn't be the best person to ask about how to do that, but I have heard that there are threads on here. I'm not 100% sure, but that could be an option there. So we're going to move downward here. We have our nice big grip here, nice and textured. It's pretty comfortable to hold and grip. Nothing crazy there. This is where our battery lives, up on the inside of here, and I will show you that in a second. On the right-hand side of the gun, we're pretty clean, but on the left-hand side, we do have our sling attachment point here in the front, and then we also have our iconic HK charging handle, and of course, we can do the HK slap. However, though, this is, I don't know. This is a more budget-friendly gun. This is about $180. Well, some people, that's not very budget, but for some people, that's kind of like that mid-tier. Honestly, I wouldn't be doing it a whole lot. I would just kind of release it because it just doesn't feel like 100% sturdy. Like, I feel like with enough force, I'm just going to break this off eventually. So try to limit it, keep it in movie purposes, and then other than that, don't really do it all that often. So let's open up our battery compartment here. You do have these two little tabs that go into the receiver, I suppose, or the handguard, I should say. This is what keeps it in place. So once we're remove both of those, the handguard will slide forward and off. This reveals the inner barrel, some of our wiring here. This is a front wired gun. Typically I just use a Matrix 11.1 LiPo, 1200 milliamp, nothing crazy. I have had these batteries for a while, and it's kind of like, I like buying tons of guns. Batteries to me are kind of like secondary. I have a bunch, but I don't know, I just use what I have. So this will tuck up in here. I'll connect it, kind of get all the wires where they need to go, and it works just fine. So that is our battery compartment. So just be aware, you may need to get smaller batteries if you have like huge brick type batteries or anything like that, that need to be able to fit in there. We also have our hop-up adjustment here. It's a bit of an odd design, but it works, but it's kind of odd. So on the outside here, you have this little lever. And what that lever does is on the inside of here, I'll try to get it real nice and close so you can see, is when I mess with this lever, take the mag out, there's a little section down in here that moves with this lever that will move and change your hop up. So that's the design they went with. It's all right. It's not my favorite design, but that is what they chose. And then again, just trying to make sure that y'all can see that. Bam. Yep. So there is that. To close everything back up, I just go ahead, slide this on. I normally just try to widen the bottom just a little bit so that way it all fits in together. Bam, we put these guys back in. And back in. So we're all good to go there. Like I said, that hop-up unit's not my favorite. What they should have done, which I would have thought would have been cool as hell, is to make this like functioning and have the bolt come back, and then you're able to like have a dial or a rotary style hop up down in the chamber. I thought that would have been really cool, but I guess that would have drove the price up, or, you know, I'm not an engineer for Airsoft. I don't know how a lot of these things work, so may have not been feasible, but that's just something there. So that is something to be kind of mindful of, is if you're like running and gunning pretty hard, you might actually hit your hop up. I've never done it, but it's just something to think about. Again, I don't really use this too much in game, and we'll kind of talk about why later on, but if you are planning on using this very heavily as like your main CQB gun or anything like that, something to think about. So we're going to get into our receiver here. At the top of it, we do have a attachment point for a rail. As you can see, that is exactly what I did to my Galaxy MP5, is I bought the rail attachment and I put a red dot on here. I took it off. I have different red dots that kind of float around different guns, but that is something there. Definitely would recommend putting a dot of some type on this gun. Reason being is because you get the classic HK sights, which are absolutely amazing. However, to be able to see those sights, you got to get down real low on this gun. For target shooting, no worries, just have some iPro, not a problem. However, if you're playing full-on CQB, like super tight quarters or rushing, all that good stuff, it's not going to be feasible. And the reason I tell you that is because since you got to get down on the gun so far, if you wear any kind of face protection, you're not going to be able to get that good sight picture, and you're basically just running off the front sight. Now, is that really bad in CQB? Not really. I mean, it's Airsoft, and you can kind of just follow your BBs, but if you're trying to be like pretty skillful and play very well, adding a dot will make it so much easier. You can keep your head higher up off the gun, just be able to put that dot on your enemy and shoot. So definitely would recommend a dot. You are going to have to pay for a separate rail. They sell for like 20 bucks, nothing crazy, but that is something to keep in mind. You will have to add a rail. So the sights, talking about the sights, if you're just target shooting or whatever, they're pretty nice, pretty good. And I'll throw up a picture here. I like them. They're, you know, that cool HK classic sights. So that kind of rounds out the top of the receiver. We're going to move on to the left side here first. We do have that HK like sling mount, I suppose. I actually had to look this up. I had no clue what it was for. And from what my limited research, I looked it up for like 5 minutes, is that it's a additional place to kind of run your sling. So if you have your sling run, you can like tuck in the excess, or you can use that as a mounting point or anything along those lines. So that's what that's here for. Am I ever going to use it? No, but it's there. Aesthetics, I suppose. So HK receiver here, we got a safe, semi, and full auto. Pretty cool. I wish they would have included a burst function, but does it really matter in the long run? No, not really. But that is what we have. Pretty positive. One thing that I do wish, though, is they shortened the right hand side, because I'm a righty, and if I'm in full auto and kind of riding that, sometimes that gets in the way. I guess I could just switch that out on my own, but that's just something to note there. Grip, very comfortable, nothing crazy. It's a little steep, but it feels good. Just running and gunning with this, bringing it up, shooting, it's pretty good. Here's a couple of my problems with it, is I really don't like how Elite Force, they always have their giant wall of text on somewhere on their guns, and right here it's actually in a more manageable position. But yeah, I hate their giant walls of text. They're always on it. And in this case, it's right here. We got a license trademark of H&K. And then we got our serial number. And then we have HK MP5 on this side. So it's pretty cool there. Got some nice trades. Stamped on the side here is Cal 6mm BB. So some nice little details, but some other things that don't particularly like. As we move further back here, we do have our additional sling mount point. I typically just run at one point and run it off of this, so that's normally what I do. And then we get to our retractable stock. So retractable stock is pretty good. You got two positions. You got the all the way collapsed position. You can still shoulder it, I suppose. It's going to be tight. If you're like doing lots of running and gunning or working around vehicles, I mean, you could easily, if you had a dot, you could just, you know, sit on your dot and have it real tight. We got our second, which is a little bit further out, and our third, or I guess there's three full positions, but there we go. It's pretty comfortable. It's not super wobbly. I mean, retractable stocks, they could be a little wobbly, but this one isn't too bad. To me, it's pretty comfortable. So let's talk about some of the other things about this gun. Is, of course, we have the magazine release, which is, to me, in like one of the worst design places, because you gotta like break your full grip in order to reach it, unless you have like monster fingers. So there's that, but most people just use the paddle release here. No problems there. Magazines. Let's talk about magazines. Out of the box, you get two with the gun, which is pretty awesome. Good on you, Elite Force. They are two high caps at 200 rounds. Pretty nice. They work okay. To me, I've never really had good MP5 mags. To me, this is one of the things that kind of kill the gun for me. So when I first started out, I was using nothing but high caps in this Galaxy. I had quite a few, and they worked all right, you know, fit, feed, okay. Sometimes they were a little tight in the mag well, but nothing crazy. Getting to the Elite Force MP5SD, I'm not seeing it as tight or as an issue, but some things I have noticed is like during reloads, sometimes they get stuck up in the mag well. This is one of those guns you're probably gonna have to practice with and really like you gotta rip that mag out. This doesn't, I mean, typically I would hit the magazine release and then I would already be going to my next mag and I wouldn't have ripped it out or anything. And I have quite a few magazines, some Elite Force, some other mixed varieties I've gotten from friends or just ordered and tried. They all work to a varying degree, but to me this is like the crux of this gun. I just don't really enjoy the magazines. Another thing to note about the magazines, and I've had this problem with quite a few of these, is sometimes I'll like pre-wind it or it will be already winded, like during some of my shooting, doing the videos of shooting at the beginning of the video. Like sometimes I would already have a magazine that would be winded or something like that, and I would put it in the gun and it would lose its tension. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I've tried it. The same thing with high caps on my Airsoft M4s and stuff, and I've not run into that issue. So that could just be a design of the MP5, could just be my mags, but I just wanted to note that there. To me, this is just kind of an annoyance. You can buy mid caps, they're 95 rounds compared to the 200. Honestly, for me, like I never really use high caps. I just don't like them. So I think that is definitely viable, just buy mid caps and then you won't have to worry about that. I have a couple from like an old friend who gave some to me and they're garbage. They don't work, they don't fit, they don't feed, they're just not good. They're not Elite Force mags, there's some, I don't even know what brand they are, they're just not very good. But like I said, to me that's just kind of like the main points of contention is magazines. Because 95 rounds and then 200, but you got to be sitting there winding. And for like CQB, for me, I just want to be able to load a new mag and call it good. I'm probably faster doing that than I am just trying to wind this wheel. Especially when the difference of BBs really isn't that much, maybe 100 BBs. That's really not a lot if you really think about it. Unless you're like just sitting on a corner with a drum mag just hosing people down, like, I don't know. That is another point. You could just buy a drum mag and call it good. Some fields allow it, some don't. Kind of just depends. But main problem there. So, where does this stack up? Because this is a kind of more pricey entry-level gun. This is around $186. It could go up or down by the time you watch this, or if it's on sale or something like that. $186 for a really cool design. I think the MP5 is slick, it looks cool, but usability, I think that goes down just quite a bit. And the reason I say that is because, of course, you know, classic MP5SD. Whenever I buy an airsoft gun, I want it to be usable, I want to enjoy it. Some I buy entirely for looks, like my smoke wagon that I have. I was very disappointed in that gun. I loved it, and then I fired it and was like, man, this thing sucks. So, but that's a collector's gun, you know, it's a single action army gun. It's cool, but am I ever going to use it in a game? Probably never. But this, I had some pretty high hopes for it. But they don't include a rail. If you wanted to attach anything, lights, lasers, etc., you're gonna have to do some aftermarket stuff. You're gonna have to, if you want an optic, you gotta buy a rail. Magazines work okay. Everything else about it is decent. I will say the rate of fire and the FPS is pretty enjoyable. We'll go ahead and show the chrono before I forget. 274, 274. 275, 275, 277, 272, 275, 271. 16 rounds a second. So coming back off the chrono, perfectly great FPS for CQB, steady rate of fire, nothing too high, but nothing too low. To me, it's kind of like right there in the middle. I will say, firing in semi-auto just feels very sluggish. Like the trigger, like I know this is an AEG, and like you're not gonna be able to really tell unless I put a battery in here, but I don't really want to do that. But the trigger just feels like really sluggish and not crisp. It just doesn't feel very good. So like you would, pull the trigger, you would get the motor to turn over, and then everything would cycle and shoot the BB, and then just the release. It's not a good trigger compared to some of my other AEGs that just have better triggers. So just something to note there. So comparatively, I could get a Matrix S&T M4, which you could buy high caps or mid caps all day long that fit and feed very well. And they're about the same size. Honestly, this one is shorter. So if you're trying to go for like a size thing, the M4 is smaller than the MP5SD. I mean, I guess if you put a Mox Presser on there just for looks because you wanted the Mox Presser look of the MP5, you could totally do that, stretch that out just a little bit, but you could also easily put a tracer unit on there as well. Trying to put a tracer unit on this would probably be kind of difficult. You could easily toss that on here, just undo the thread, put that one on. This one's iron sights, again, could be a little unusable with face protection, but this is a removable carry handle. There is a Picatinny rail. You could easily slap a red dot on there. Mags, to me, you get higher capacity. For mid caps, you could do 120 to like almost 190. So that eliminates having to carry a ton of mid caps or even a high cap if you don't want to use them. Easier hop up unit to use. Way cheaper, $70 cheaper roughly. So, and you have a full stock that you could throw whatever battery you really wanted to put in here. And shorter, cheaper, and it has just way more advantages. But you're like, but I really want a pistol caliber carbine. I hear you. You could save up about $40 more and you could get an ARP9, which has a full rail, M-lock, sights included that are actually kind of tall. Again, you might have an issue if you're wearing face protection, but easily put a red dot. You could put lights, lasers on here very easily. Magazines, kind of the point of contention. I use mid caps. They only hold 60 rounds. You could do a drum mag or they're high caps, which are, I think, 120s. Could be wrong about that. But again, easy to access, hop up, stock. This is it does come with a full stock, but they also have the G&G, the ARP9. They have the ARP9, and they just have that like little PDW style stock that you can toss a battery into. Again, battery space, but if you're really looking for a more functional, more usable pistol caliber carbine, I would suggest looking at this. There's tons of brands. The pistol caliber market in Airsoft has really exploded, and I think that the MP5 is just fallen behind. I know, and if you really wanted something short but kind of cool with that little bit of flavor, you could get a SIG 552. I got this in a mystery box a long time ago. Still working on a review for it. I don't know when that will be coming out, but it's on the schedule. But again, if you look at the size of these two, roughly about the same exact size, and both shorter than the MP5SD. So if you're looking for a smaller gun, you could easily just do an M4, do a short M4 with more features. So, speaking of, this isn't a review for this gun, but I just wanted to note, comes with a rail on either side that you can flip, and then you got a Picatinny rail at the bottom. It comes with the claw, so you could put an optic on here. Comes with a mag, you know, and it is foldable out of the way. So if you really wanted a short gun, you could do something along these lines, have higher capacity, all those other features. I'm not trying to downplay the MP5. I just want to bring to your attention the different options. And the reason I do that is because I was very excited for this gun. And then I went out and started playing with it and was like, what does this do better than my other Airsoft AEGs that are like SMG or pistol caliber guns? Not a whole lot. It looks super dope and it's iconic and it's super cool. But that's about it. Because comparatively, out of the box, it just doesn't do a lot of things better. And like I said, the Matrix S&T M4 is $70 cheaper. You can save an extra $40 and get a G&G ARP9. And those things have been kicking for a long time. So it's going to come down to personal preference. What do you like? What looks cool to you? But also, what are you going to be using it for? Because if you want to throw a tracer unit on here, you want to throw a red dot on here, there's things that you want to do. You got to look at what you want to do, because you're going to have to mod the hell out of this to really get it to work. Now, I did see that Elite Force, they do have some of their other models where it's like the full stock with the battery in the back, or another model where it comes with both braces, or both stocks, I should say. And I also saw they just teased a MP5 that had a M-LOK rail already on it. My guess, though, is that it's probably going to be a lot more expensive. And the reason being is because, well, it's an M-LOK rail. And B, I'm guessing they're going to put their Avalon gearbox in there. So the Avalon MP5s from Elite Force, they're about $384. Throw an M-LOK rail on top of that, I'm guessing $450 maybe. I could be completely wrong. These are just speculative numbers, but you're gonna have to do a lot of modding to get this where you want. The performance is pretty good. It's not too bad, but again, this is more of a kind of beginner gun. Like, to me, this is either the very first gun you're gonna get and just be like, yeah, it's super cool, looks awesome, and then you realize, oh man, I want to start doing all this other stuff, and then your collection grows. Or you're like me, you start building off your collection, and then you're like, I just want a gun that looks cool. That's where this guy comes in. So what's this going to come down to? If somebody asked me, would you recommend this gun? I would say it depends on your priorities. If you are a beginner airsofter, this is your first airsoft gun, I wouldn't recommend it. And the reason being is because you can get a M4 or an AK for a lot cheaper. And they are a lot more easily accessorizable. Like, you can get basic M4 with rails, quad rail, full length Picatinny. You could throw a red dot, lights, lasers, etc., foregrip, whatever you wanted to throw on there, without having to continuously buy parts or upgrade your gun or anything along those lines. This is pretty much what you're gonna get unless you start doing some crazy modding, with the exception of the rail, but they don't even include the rail. So that's an extra 20 bucks you gotta spend. You're now at about $200 just for a basic MP5 with a ability to mount a red dot that is aftermarket. So this gun is cool. For my collectors out there who just want an MP5SD, it's pretty cool. It's pretty nice. But for my beginners or people that really want like a functional MP5, I just think it's outclassed or outdated. And again, that's kind of hard to compare because the design of this gun is very old. And some of these newer guns that already have rails, they're more recent. We learn with the times. But I don't know. I would say I would wait on the MP5 and get something a little bit more usable. Again, if this is 100% what you want, don't let me tell you what to do. I just want to give you information and let you make your own informed decision. It's not my money. Well, I guess it is because I bought this, but it will be yours. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed Go check out Chip It and some of the rest of our content. We got a playlist full of Airsoft reviews. You can agree with me, disagree with me. Happens. Thank you for all the support. Have a great rest of your day.